We're going to talk about two parts. We're going to talk about breastfeeding and we're going to talk about taking care of the baby. All of those basic necessary things that, you might have already experienced, but there are some things that you forgot and they need a reminder, okay? Let's begin with breastfeeding, okay? Because this is, let me put it that way. This is something that we really need to get a hang on quite quickly. So if taking care of the baby, it's more like, it develops with time and skills and everything. Breastfeeding is something that you have to be really aware of and present with since very, very beginning. And although it's not possible to predict and foresee any situation in advance, it's still good to know some tools that you will have so that you will be able to apply them later whenever things come up, or read about them or review about them. Did you see your mom breastfeeding?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And you were breastfed yourself? And you're planning to breastfeed?
Yes.
Okay. You know about all of the benefits and how healthy it is for immune system for the baby. You don't have any second thoughts about it, you're
No.
sure? Okay, we're with you on that. Breastfeeding is amazing. So there is no preset great amount of time that is recommended for breastfeeding. Common medicine says that it's about a year, like a recommendation. However, you can go for as long as you want. And there is really no right and wrong thing. 1 year is great. It's the minimum basics. And then all the time after that, in my opinion, is also you need to go by your own intuition and also how your baby, what your baby wants. Just want to say that, for example, me, I stopped breastfeeding when Lada was 1. And this is not because, I didn't want to breastfeed longer, or, I had a preset time, or I got so tired. It happened so naturally and so organically that, my milk supply kind of started decreasing. And also I could feel that Lada is less interested in breast milk. And by that time she was already eating food. And somehow, it just turned out that I was breastfeeding her one day, and I looked at her and I said, you know what? I have a feeling that this might be your last feed. And I listened to her and I heard yes. I heard okay, mama, that's fine. And it did happen very organically. I think that I'm also a bit lucky because I know that there's a lot of struggle going on around mamas who are trying to detach and stop breastfeeding. Like a friend of mine right now, she's due any time with her second baby, and her first baby is still breastfeeding, and she's super tired, and it's super stressful to stop it right now. So there are ways to do that nicely and gently, but also sometimes it happens very easily and very organically, and not necessarily when the child is 4 years old. For me, it happened in 1 year.
Yeah.
So there is a certain amount of ease in that may happen. But again, I would say that 1 year is a minimum basics to build up a baby's immune system really nicely and really properly. Yeah. So I want to ask you, do you experience any colostrum coming out right now out of your breast? Not yet. That's fine. Some mamas do, some don't. There's a lot of times with the second babies, mamas do have colostrum before they give birth. First, I don't think I had any actually either when Lara was born. But colostrum is so-called golden milk. It's not exactly the milk. It's the fatty, nutritious substance that comes out as a first thing before the milk comes. And usually it takes a day or 2 or 3 to actually get your milk. And it takes about 10 weeks to normalize your milk flow so that there is no ups and downs and everything is nice and flowing, okay? So in the first 3 days, you should not expect any big amount of milk coming. It usually takes that much time.
Yeah.
And it is enough for the baby. When the baby is born, the stomach is like this. It's like a size of a cherry. Yeah. Then it starts growing, but in the beginning, the stomach is so small that literally, like, how much do you need in here, right?
Sweet.
The colostrum is enough.
Yeah.
The way to get more milk or to get milk faster is to keep on skin contact, skin to skin, and breastfeeding, continuously offering the breast. Now, in old time stories, they used to say you have to feed by hours and you have to take like consistent breaks and then feed again. Right now, all the pediatricians and midwives agree you need to feed on demand. So whenever it feels like, whenever the baby is asking, the more the better, skin to skin and offering the breast. And here we're gonna come back to number one rule of a mama who just gave birth. You need to stay in bed, which already, we spoke about it before, that you need to rest a lot. But when you are staying in bed, when you're resting a lot, it's very natural to just have your baby on you. And like, what else are you gonna do? Like, you're gonna eat, you're gonna go to the toilet, and you're gonna lie down and cuddle with your baby. So skin to skin as much as possible, solving so many problems. If the baby's not feeling well, if the baby's cold, if the baby's moody, skin to skin breast, skin to skin breast. This is like the absolute golden formula. Yeah. So now, before the actual meal comes, there is like saying that when the tears flow, milk flows. So before the milk comes, there is usually a moment in woman's life that she starts feeling upset and moody and emotional. And it usually happens like the day before. So there is like a big release. And it may be connected to something in particular in labor, that triggered her. Or it can be something that is just out of nowhere. There is no particular reason for that. So you will experience probably some kind of emotions, and this is the sign that the milk is coming. Now, one thing about milk supply is that our body is very smart. So in the very beginning, after the milk starts coming, the actual milk starts coming, it overflows our breasts. And we start feeling really heavy and really engorged, and our breasts feel really hot and inflated, and we're like, oh my God, we're having mastitis, blah, blah, blah. Yes, you need to watch out for that, but also you need to accept that this is a very normal thing, because our body wants to overproduce a little bit. So just in case your baby needs more, it would rather overproduce than underproduce. So it has a little bit of the extra supply that normalizes basically within 2-3 days. And what can be done in that time? Couple of things. One is a very old grandma recipe that I don't know how, but it works 100% of times, is the cabbage. So you take the cabbage leaf from the fridge, you put it in your bra and you wear it. It really helps to relieve engorged breasts. Massaging your breast, right? Opening the milk ducts, because sometimes it happens that you do have a lot of milk, your breast feels engorged, but there is not a lot of milk coming. And that means that for some reason, and one of those reasons can be stress, but maybe there's something that we don't know, for some reason, your milk ducts are not fully open yet. And in order to open them, it's good to massage with your hands, doing circular motions, and sometimes also with a brush, like a body brush, to brush your breast. Yeah. When the baby latches, sometimes it's also good to press on the breast, like to kind of stimulate the milk ducts. Okay. So that is that. But there are also times when you don't feel that there is enough milk and milk supply is low. And we don't know what's the reason of that. Maybe it is stress, maybe something that is malnutritional in your body, something, or you haven't been drinking a lot, haven't been eating a lot. In those cases, there's also a couple of things that you can do. One of them is coming back to eating and drinking a lot of liquids. Remember that right now you're drinking a lot of water. It's good that you have a habit of doing that. After baby is born, you don't lower the amount of water. You actually need to drink as much, if not more, because every day you're giving out a lot of liquids. And make it a habit to have this bottle next to you wherever you go. And whenever you latch the baby, you take a glass of water and you drink a glass of water. And if you're attentive enough to your body, you will experience a thirst coming every time the baby latches. It's like your mouth will naturally become dry. You will feel it, like when you start listening. So yeah. Let's see what else talk about.
I think some women, if they don't have enough milk, they also drink some tea or fenugreek.
Yes. There are herbs that you can take. One of them is fenugreek. Moringa is great, as like in capsules, moringa capsules. Also, in Bumi Sehat, they have amazing lactation tea that I recommend. Again, you don't need to get it now. You might have more than enough milk. There is no, like some mamas I know that they take this herbs like anyways, but then they get supply of milk. You don't need to take it if you feel that your milk supply is good. This is just to help. And vitamin C also, juice, vitamin C, like with orange or beets. It's really nice. So I also have like I make tea for lactation, but fenugreek is one of the main ingredients, and moringa is great too. There are ways to boost up milk production, and it works 99% of cases. Yeah. So eating, drinking, and supplementing. Yeah, but you will see, if you need it, because it's not every time that woman actually needs that. As I mentioned, a lot of times it's more of a blocked duct rather than the milk itself, because we might have enough milk, but the ducts are not open enough. So we would need to try and see different things. Yeah. Let's talk about the latch of the baby. The very first day when your baby is born, the first latch or the first 2, 3, 4, 5 latches are very, very important, and they're very, very essential, because this kind of predetermines how the baby will be latching in future. So it's really good to put enough presence, enough attention in latch. And because you've never done it before, sometimes it's really quickly, but sometimes it takes a little bit of time to understand, how this is done, how to adjust. So let me explain to you. I will show you, like when you will give birth, I will show you on your breast, but also I want to show you before, just so that you already kind of have it settled in mind. The only thing I forgot is to like make a booby, so let me just maybe take something that can resemble a booby. pretty good. So, nice, eh?
Yeah.
So, here's your nipple. Here's your breast. So, around nipple, there is an areola. That's the dark part. Ideally, you would want 90% of your entire areola, and I say 90% because different women have a different size. Some women have it really big, but regular size is about this much. So you want 90% of the areola to be in the baby's mouth. And that means that booby has to go really deep into baby's mouth. And that means that the baby needs to open mouth really wide. So one of the most common breastfeeding positions is this one, but I will also show you the other ones. But right now it's just that I will show you like that. So it's always nice to hold baby's hand because you can manure baby's head and help him to latch. And then one thing to remember is that it's not that you bring your breast to the baby. You always bring the baby to the breast. Because when you bring the baby to the breast, you end up being in really weird, crooked positions, and your back starts hurting and all of this. So before everything happens, it's super important to sit very comfortably and to find to find pillows and find all the support. By the way, breastfeeding pillows are amazing. They really save a lot of back pain. And do you have one?
No, but there is someone who wants to give me one.
Yeah, take it. I remember that I didn't want one, and then my friend is like, "Are you crazy? Take it." Like she was giving it away. I was like, "Oh, I don't think I need it." She's like, "Mahika, you need it." Yeah, and it was really handy, especially in the beginning.
Yeah.
So let's say we have this one as a breastfeeding pillow right here, and the baby is comfortably here, and you're holding baby's head. Yeah, you're holding your breast, and then how you would give your breast is you need to squeeze your breast, practically like a burger, and then touch baby's nose. And then when baby's nose is touched, baby is opening mouth really widely. Okay, so you need to wait for that open mouth, wide open mouth. And when the mouth is open, you kind of slide it down and you bring it in. Okay, sometimes it works from the very beginning, sometimes it doesn't. And if it doesn't, you will hear smacking sounds, and you will see that only the pin of the nipple is actually in the mouth and the entire areola is out. If you see that, what can be done is you can put your pinky finger between over here, and then the baby will open the mouth and you take it out and then you try again. Okay? Mm-hmm. And you always want to make sure that you don't hold the pain for a long time, and it's like, oh, for the sake of the baby, I'm going to breastfeed the baby. Well, it's actually going to do worse in the end, because yes, the baby might get something right now with your nipple squeezed like that, but then in 2 days, it will be in a very bad condition. You won't be able to breastfeed anymore. So it's super important to be very attentive, from the very beginning, how baby is taking the breast, And it's okay to experience some pain and discomfort for the first, let's say, 5 seconds. But if it lasts longer, then this is an alert. You should take it out and bring it back. So we can talk about breastfeeding positions. Yeah, and again, this is something that I will show you when I come. But for now, I can show you like that so that it settles in your mind. Yeah. So 3 of the most common and most convenient breastfeeding positions is first the one like that. Again, you're sitting comfortably with your pillows. Your hand is behind baby's head. and another hand is squeezing your breast, and you're squeezing it like a sandwich in, right? Another breastfeeding position, what is it called? Soccer ball position? I forgot the name of it. Anyways, but it's the one, so before the baby was like that, now the baby is like that. Again, you're sitting super comfortably. You're gonna have pillows behind your back, but not behind your shoulders. So you need to be able to bring your shoulder back like that. Yeah? So from here, again, you have your breast here, you have your hand under baby's head, and you're doing this. But it's important that, again, like there's a lot of pillows under your baby and there's a lot of pillows behind. The beauty of this position is once you give the breast like this, you see my hand is like here. You can do something, you can look at your phone, you can eat food. So it's like in a long run, it's really convenient. And the baby is here. Whereas when it's like that and you give the breast, still like you're quite limited in what you do. Like you don't want to eat over your baby, for example, right? Or have water. So this is a really nice position. Sometimes it's overlooked because it looks weird, like, oh my God, the baby is here. But once you get used to it, it's really good, okay? Now, the third position is my favorite. It's lying on your side. So it's lying down position. And maybe actually I will show you this and then you can try yourself, yeah? But I'll show it first. So this is the position that is really amazing, especially when you co-sleep with the baby in the same bed. Is this something that you're, okay. So it's, I don't know how women do it the other way. Getting up, taking the baby, breastfeeding, putting the baby in the bag. It's like, I don't know. Yeah. When the baby sleeps next to you, you can just lie down like that. Put the baby here. Give your breast. And baby like is fully on the side. It's not like supported. It's fully lying down on the side. You can put like a little pillow behind and you just take your breast. And this is how you follow the same principles of like squeezing the breast and putting it. Yeah, so that is it. It's all the matter of just getting used to the latch. Okay, so maybe let's try like this. I'm gonna put this. So one is a classical one like this. So so this hand will be under the head and lower, yeah. And this hand is gonna be holding the breast, yeah. And you see how easy it is to like maneuver baby's head like that, and you can bring the head closer, yeah. So another one is, I think it's called the soccer ball. The soccer ball. Soccer ball. So you're gonna have some space behind here, yeah. So yeah, ideally, you actually want to have more pillows behind your back, like this, yeah. Now try to lean, right, and then your elbow can go really far in here, yeah. And the head is like that, holding the hand, and this, yep. Okay, perfect. You're nailing it. Okay. Again, you see how easy it is to maneuver like that. So, and lying down, we don't need to do it. Okay. You'll figure it.
And the first, like after baby came out, like I listened to a podcast and they say that you can just put the baby on
top,
belly, and then the baby moves and finds the breast itself.
Yes, you can do that. And it's a natural reflex for babies to do that because this is like a survival instinct. You know, if something is wrong with the mama, they look for the breast. I did it for Lara. I did it for my daughter. I also read about it. Throughout the time, I kind of changed my mind about it a little bit. Also, when I saw a few cases when mamas would do it and it would take babies such a long time and they would kind of give up and fall asleep. I mean, such a long time is like 20-25 minutes. That would be this much time until they're kind of like, okay, there's no booby, I fall asleep. And then it would be really hard to latch the baby. So what I tend to believe is that, yes, there is an ability like that. There is like a natural instinct to do that. But it's also a very natural instinct for a mama to take the baby and to latch the baby. It's like, this is what every mama wants to do. So feel into it if this is something that you want to do. For me, it's more like comes from a brain of a mama that, oh, I'm gonna make my baby so much stronger when he grows up. It will put like this warrior instinct in him. Maybe yes, but how about the instinct to actually take your baby and like, like lick your baby and hug your baby and latch your baby? This is also like very natural. I think this instinct is there because this will allow them to survive in case something is wrong with the mama. But there's nothing wrong with us, right? We want our babies super close to us. We don't want to leave them like just like crawling on us.
Yeah. So
right?
It could even trigger some.
Maybe it does the opposite.
Yeah. Maybe it's like.
But this is only my theory. Usually I hear the opposite, and my theory is based on observation. And my observation is that there were cases when mamas would do that, and then babies would take extra time again to latch properly, and were not latching. They kind of like gave up, and they were not latching. They're breastfeeding now. Everything is great, but it took a lot of effort after that. Although for me it worked. Lada crawled up and she's very warrior-like and she's like very strong. So I don't know what's their relation, but I've seen the opposite as well. But it's not only about the observation. For me it's more like logical. Like, why would you not?
Yeah.
Do this?
If it feels like holding back.
Yeah. So. Huh?
If it feels like there is an impasse, but oh no, I shouldn't do it because theory says I blah blah.
Right?
Blah. Yeah.
It really comes a little bit like from the mind, and even though we give it like the best intentions, but is it really?
Yeah. Interesting.
So that's about the latching positions. How often? How often do you feed? I mentioned that it's on demand and as much as possible. However, in the very beginning, babies tend to sleep really long. And sometimes it happens that they oversleep and they lose on the milk that they actually need to get. So the rule of thumb is that if the baby sleeps over 4 hours, then it's good to wake up. Wake him up, okay? Nicely, gently, but wake them up. You can rub their hand. You can tap their back. You can lift them up, kiss them, whatever it takes in like a gentle waking up. So that is every 4 hours. It usually stops in the first 3 days. So over 3 days, they stop sleeping that long. Sometimes 5 days, but quite shortly they start waking up themselves to feed every 4 hours. But in the first few days, this is something to watch out for. And this is what I see some parents are making mistakes with. They're like, oh my God, our baby is so calm. they just sleep the whole day. Well, actually, they become dehydrated. And when they become dehydrated and weak, they want to sleep longer. So it kind of goes in a snowball. They sleep because they're hungry, because they're dehydrated, and they feel lethargic. So 4 hours is a good amount of time to wake them up. Okay? And in between of the sleeps, just feed them as much as you want, as much as you can. Okay? There's no rule like wake up, feed for an hour, then no, just like go for as much as the baby is asking for. Okay, there's a special attention that I want to talk about pacifiers. So pacifiers and bottles. So sometimes it's nice to have a bottle around in case you want to step out for a walk, or you want to do something within, again, it's like within the first year, yeah, and you want someone, your nanny or your partner, to take care of the baby and to pump the milk, to give in a bottle. However, when you start pumping so much and switching to the bottle, it's very easy for baby to get used to the lazy latch of the bottle and stop taking the breast. So we really need to be careful with that, like when we offer the bottle. Another thing with the pumping is that some women, when they start feeling the engorged breast in the beginning, when our body overproduces a little bit, they're like, oh, we need to pump. Well, actually not, because when we start pumping, we're letting our body know that our babies need that much milk, because our body doesn't really know whether it's baby or like we're demanding milk, so it's giving out milk. So it will keep producing on a lot of milk. So we're pumping to relief, but actually in the beginning we're doing the opposite. We're stimulating body to produce more. So we need to be really careful with that. Of course, in cases when our boobs are super engorged and nothing is helping, this may bring relief, but this is not something to hang on. Okay? And you don't need to get a milk pump unless you plan to pump because you will be working or your baby will stay with a nanny. Otherwise, you can get it if you need it. So if there is a call for that, you can get it within like 2-3 hours. They have pumps everywhere. Okay? So you don't need to get it. One prop that is nice to have that I actually did not have 9 years ago, and that is really cool. It looks really cool. It's called Haka bottle, and it's a bottle that is being attached to your one chest while the baby is on the other one, and it has like a suction feeling, and it's not pumping, but it's like it's getting sucked to your nipple, and it's taking the milk that is extra, that is like leaking out by itself. Because it often happens that when you start breastfeeding from one breast, the other one starts leaking and you're like in the milk river. So the bottle collects that milk, and you can store it for emergency cases, or if you want to have it with your coffee the next morning. So yeah, it's called Haka bottle. I can send you the link. It's a really nice prop. It's very convenient. Okay.
How long can you keep the milk?
I believe it's about 4 weeks in a freezer. Yeah. About that time. If you give it to the baby. If you use it for your own coffee milk, I think it's fine to keep it longer. But for the baby, to keep the nutritional value, it's about 4 weeks. Yeah. Now, we can also talk about how long to breastfeed in one breast and how to change the breasts. So milk has 2 stages when it comes out of the breast. It has 2 consistencies. One is called fore milk, and it's a very liquidy, very like watery like milk that is not very fatty, it's not very dense, and it comes as a first thing. And oftentimes you could see babies like sucking, and they're like, oh my god, there's like so much milk, and they're like swallowing very often, and then they stop and they're going really slow. And it doesn't mean that the milk stopped, it means that the milk quality has changed. So after the foremilk there is a hind milk, and hind milk is a very fatty, very nutritious milk, and this is the gold. This is what babies are actually sucking for. Now the problem with changing the breasts while in one feed is that some mamas feed with a foremilk, and then they see that it finished, and then they change and another foremilk, and baby ends up to be bloated with like watery like milk, but the actual nutritious milk did not come yet. So midwives recommend to breastfeed from one breast in one feed, and only switch if you're really sure that there is no more milk left and the baby starts asking for more, and then you switch. Okay? But make sure that you spend enough time in one breast until it is completely empty. And then if the baby wants more, then you can switch again. Okay? Some mamas have like a little sticker because we forgot. You know, we breastfeed here, and then it comes back to full again, and then you're like, oh my god, which breast was that? Yeah. So anyways, it's good to remember and to breastfeed alternative breastfeeding. Yeah. So what else? Any questions?
To breastfeeding? I don't think so. Or do I need like some pets?
Yes, those are good to have. They're good to have in between of the feeds, because sometimes your breast starts leaking like out of nowhere. You hear babies cry and your breast go reverse. So it's nice to have like a pad in your bra. You can get reusable ones. Don't get the disposables because they have bleach on it, and it's actually not good for the nipple. So if you get those, get like soft. The water, basically it's the same. They are waterproof and they're soft like this. You can even cut from here and give to a tailor, and they can make like circles out of it. But also you can order on Tokopedia, they have some. Yeah. So.
And like nipple cream or something?
Yes, nipple cream, there is one called lanolin that I recommend. Have you heard of it? I actually have it. I can make it for you. It's pure lanolin. It's made of the sheep fat, and it's the only one that helped me, and it's also safe for babies. It's if they have it in their mouth. I mean, obviously you put it after the breastfeeding, but if it gets in their mouth, it's totally neutral and safe for them. Yeah, I wouldn't say the same thing about coconut oil or shea butter, but lanolin is considered to be the safest one. Yeah, I will make it for you. I can make like a little jar for you. You don't need much. You can use it on your lips too. It's really nice. So, yeah. So that is about breastfeeding. Of course, there's a lot of things that will come up probably. Oh, another thing that I wanted to talk about, burping. Have you know what burping is? Burping the baby. You've taken care of the babies. So yeah, taking the baby like that on your shoulder, patting the back. It is really good to do every time after you breastfeed the baby, The only kind of problematic time is when you're lying down, but there's still hacks for that.
Okay.
So when you're lying, and let's say you're breastfeeding on your side, then you turn on your back, and you can always put like a pillow or just put it on your abdomen like that, and
Okay.
just keep the baby like that, yeah, and pat the back like that, so that the legs are hanging down like that. And then once baby has birth, you go back. Yeah.
Okay.
You don't have to get up all the way. Try it like that. So yeah, there's a lot of things that probably will come up, but as a basics, I think about breastfeeding. That's about it. And I will also write down things for you so that you could review things that I've spoken about. There's also a lot about it in the book. Okay? Is there anything new that you learned about breastfeeding today?
The position.
The positions? Yeah.
I have never done it, of course.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. So, taking care of the baby. That's another part that I wanted to speak about. And just like to begin with, yeah, when babies are born, obviously, they're getting weight. They check the Apgar score. They check the reflexes. And one thing that parents are usually concerned with the very, very little babies is their breath. Because babies have such a thing, it's called periodic breathing. They don't always breathe regularly like us, like inhale, exhale. Especially when they sleep, they have a tendency to hold the breath sometimes. So they would breathe in, breathe out, and then they could hold the breath for 10-15 seconds. And this is totally normal. There is no need to freak out when it happens. If baby holds for more than 15 seconds, maybe this is something that you could speak about with the midwife. But otherwise, just make a note for yourself that babies don't always breathe regularly, okay? You also can watch out for the baby when the baby is breathing, so that abdomen goes smoothly up and down, and there is no sucking motion going on. There is no such thing as like this. They don't suck in their lungs or suck in their baby. Also, babies usually have mucus in their mouth and nose when they're born, and in the hospitals they suck it out. Midwives don't do this. Usually they sneeze it out by themselves, or you can suck it out with your mouth. But because of that natural mucus, in the first couple of days, it's normal for babies have kind of a loud breathing and have like mucusy breathing. And some parents think that, oh, maybe they're sick or something. How you could check that is you could always bring your ear to the lungs, and you can listen to the lungs if the lungs are clear. And it would just mean that it's the mucus in the upper part of their body. Yeah. Not in the respiratory system. Okay? So that's about breath. It's really interesting that all mamas experience this one thing. We wake up during the night and we're vigorously trying to listen to our baby's breathing. And this happens to like 100% of moms. This is our reflex. And there's this little sense of panic. It's like you wake up, is my baby breathing? Like no precedents, nothing. You just like wake up and check in your baby. Yeah, it's a funny, and it's like, oh, thank God, everything's good. So you might be experiencing that. And if that happens, that your baby doesn't breathe for 10 seconds, just know that it's totally normal.
Yeah.
Also, babies have this funny reflex of like like shaking or putting their hands upwards like that. I don't know if you've never ever seen that. This is also like a protection coping mechanism that comes, if the baby falls or something falls on the baby or there's something. It's a purely like survival instinct mechanism. Have you seen that?
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, like when they hear loud noise or there's something happens, like someone speaks loudly, they're like that. So that is fine. Also, that lasts for about 12 weeks and it stops after that. Also, some mamas freak out because their babies start being cross-eyed. Have you ever seen that?
No.
Okay, so if you see that, my mom told me that. She's like, "Oh, I took you out of the like birthing center, and I came home, and you're like that." And I'm like, "Oh, my babies." Yeah, no, it's fine. Their eyes are still adjusting, so sometimes they can go not even just cross-eyed. Sometimes the eyes can really go like one eye here and one eye there. It does happen. So don't freak out. That's fine. Cross-eyed baby, that's called. Yeah. What else? We spoke about breastfeeding. Hunger cues. That's another conversation. So, as I mentioned, you feed your baby on demand, but how do you know that your baby is hungry? Well, the first thing is everyone thinks when they're crying, they're hungry. But the reality is that before they start crying, they usually give you a whole amount of cues that they're hungry. Mm-hmm. One of the cue is that they're sticking their tongue out like this. They're looking for the booby, yeah? Another one, they make smacking sound. They want to suck something. Another one, they start like putting their head like that, side to side, like as if they're looking for the booby. Also, sometimes when they're in someone's arms, on your arms, they start like bobbing on whatever, whatever the surface there is. So when you see those, catch them before they start crying, because when they start crying, it's kind of too late already. They already come to the point of like, where's the booby? The stress, right? So if you're observant enough, you will see that they will ask. But just in case they started crying, it's not the end of the world. There is no need to panic. There's no need to like do this. Just take a deep breath and give him the booby. That's no need to panic. That's fine. We also miss the cues sometimes, but it's important to know that they do give cues. And I think that when I had Lara, I didn't know about it. Eventually I figured it out, but no one really told me. I thought like, oh, she's crying, she needs a booby, here's the booby. So it led to a lot of times when it was late and it was stressful. So look for the cues. What else can we speak about? The sleep. Baby sleep will change throughout the time. In the beginning, they sleep long periods of time. Then the time does shorten. But just like us humans, they have a sleeping cycle. It's called REM, sleeping cycle. And it lasts for about 30 minutes. So they always sleep within the sleeping cycles. In the beginning, it's about 4 sleeping cycles, and then it starts shortening. And when they just fall asleep, there's a lot of movements that can happen in their body. They also may roll their eyes like that. They may move a little bit. They may make sounds. And the breath will be also quite frequent. But when they fall in deeper, the breath will be smooth and nice again. And in about 30 minutes, you might notice that the baby kind of starts waking up and, making a sound. And it doesn't mean that you have to run to the baby and like pick him up and the baby is awake. Sometimes they need another 2-3 cycles to catch up again. Okay, so just remember that the nap time is never like smooth. They do wake up partially, and then they fall asleep again. So it goes like that, and every cycle is about 30 minutes. Okay. Now, some babies, they also have a cradle cap. Do you remember that one in your? This is not something to be concerned of. It's just that sometimes parents are concerned, but you can like brush it off with oil, or you can leave it and it will brush off by itself. That's totally fine. Like, this is not a condition, nothing. Now, about 40% of babies, they have jaundice after they're being born. This is when their skin turns a little bit yellowish because of the extra production of bilirubin. And this is totally normal too. And one way to deal with this, and the most efficient way to deal with this, is to go out in the sun like this, like a setting sun or the sunrise sun, and just walk around for 10 minutes with them, like with their skin open. Just make sure that they're not cold. You keep them skin to skin, but give them some sun. Yeah. And in 90% of cases, it solves the problem. In case it does not, you can always go to Bumi Sehat, and they have lamps. So they basically, or ultraviolet lamps, they basically do like the simulation of the sun, and that helps too. Vitamin C is also great to deal with that. So drinking juices, but you will observe. Just know that if the skin turns a bit yellowish, that's fine too. Also, in the beginning, babies turn to have some kind of skin things. They turn red, like there's some like red spots. This is within norm also. This is because when the blood travels back from placenta to the baby, there is some sort of excess of blood, and it's like pushing it out in like different spots of the body. So some spots may turn red, especially the ones that have like contact with you or with the pillow. Now, sometimes it happens that babies have reaction on fabric and swaddles, and in that case, it's super important to wash them, pre-wash, before baby actually comes out. So make sure that all of your blankets are washed with like a non-toxic soap. Okay. They also sometimes have baby acne. This is a very hormonal thing. They look like little pimples, and they usually go away by themselves. Okay. For girls, you may experience that their vagina becomes swollen sometimes, and there is a little bit of a blood coming out. And this is also hormonal. It's not like a lot of red blood, but it's like blood staining. Okay. So this is a hormonal development. Sometimes girls also have like a milkish substance from their breasts. This is the boost of hormones also. Okay? Also, like, for you to remember that this is not abnormal, not to panic, but this happens sometimes. How to take care of umbilical cord. There's really no caretaking other than like basic hygiene things. You don't need to wipe it constantly with something or put some medicine. The only medicine that Budi might give you, it's called Uyan Bayan. It's Chinese medicine, and it's like a powder. You can put it around if it's a little bit too wet. One thing to watch out for about the umbilical cord is so that there is no red like growing circle around the cord, because when there is, like, you can visually see the circle and it starts spreading, it is an inflammation, and especially when the baby's fever is increasing, this is something to be alert of. Okay, but otherwise the color around the belly button should be same as the color on the remaining body. Okay, so this is about the umbilical cord. You probably know things about soothing the baby if the baby's crying. You've been carrying babies, right? But I'll just remind you about the few tricks. It's always nice to give them support under their feet. So let's say, you know, they're like that, and you tug their feet. Basically, you're trying to imitate things that they have been experiencing in the womb, right? To have that really like enclosed environment. So it's good to tug their feet like that. Also, if they're like that, to touch the soles and to tug the feet in. Some babies really love tummy hold. So like that, it really makes them feel nice and cozy. This is what usually dads are using this a lot. um oh, there's a really cool trick that I intuitively had it myself when Lada was there, but I just posted it on Instagram. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but when you press here on their forehead, I think that I have been doing it much lighter. The woman in the video, she really like put some pressure in here, and that massages some part of uh, nervous endings that are really soothing for the baby. So going down like that, and they really soothe down, and it releases tension from their face, and they close their eyes. So that's nice tricks. And again, I'm sure you'll see a lot of tricks like this on social media. There's so many things that are helpful, but these are the two that I want you to remember.
Yeah.
Like that, yeah, and touching the forehead. Sometimes it can be like this also. So
Okay.
like this, like as a cross. Yeah. When it comes to swaddling, I'm not completely pro and I'm not completely against. You would need to feel it. Generally, it helps babies to soothe down as long as it's not swaddling that's like super tight, that is really like restricting their movement so much. But in most of the cases, swaddling helps them to feel more secure and to feel more relaxed. Do you know how to swaddle? Do you remember?
No.
I will not show you right now because you would need to do it on a baby. Like doing it on this one probably won't do much justice because it's not a moving baby, but still we can, yeah, we can try to do it. So basically, it's all about tightening the hands, holding it here, tightening it. It's so easy on this baby. And then over here, like that. And then put it back. This is a wrong one to swaddle, but general idea is like that. Yeah. Sometimes it's also nice to wrap it around the hands first, like this, and then bring it in. And another one around the hands, and in it, back, like that. Yeah. There are also nice cocoons that are sold for the baby. They're like nice and stretchy. They have a little bit more freedom than swaddles. When you go to the kids store, you will see them. But you can try. You will see what works for you. I swaddle a lot, but not so much.
Yeah.
And different babies, these are all the tools. It's like in birth, these are all the tools. You might use them, you might not. But generally, there is an option like that, and some babies feel really good being swaddled, and some babies are like, let me out. We don't want to be swaddled. Yeah. So it's really, what's I gonna say? Swaddling. Oh, pacifiers. Don't overuse them because they might mess up with the latch. Sometimes, well, first, number one thing is to know that pacifiers are not for the babies. They're for parents. They're for parents to make their life easier whenever, their nervous system is so wired that they just need like 15 minutes of silence. And this is what pacifiers are for. So unless it's like, this is my only observation, this is my only reason why I think pacifiers are needed. And I used it myself too. I used it for a really short period of time. But I'm going to tell you, it saved my nerves so much that I don't regret, a single moment that I did use it. So there is a possibility that you might need it, but not necessarily. There's a lot of mamas that actually don't need them. Okay? Oh God. Wait. Vida! Vida! Sorry. Oh, the dog. Where's my chihuahua? Okay.
But we don't have to get it now.
No, no. Only when you need it, if you need it. The only thing is that there is a way to get a natural pacifier. There are like pacifiers made of like non-toxic rubber. That's the one that I had, and that needs to be pre-ordered. So maybe if you want to put it on your wish list, or at least make a research to know where to find it in case that you need it.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that can be done. But otherwise, don't. If you're, you don't need to get it in advance. Yeah, that's fine. So, bathing the baby, it doesn't need to be done in the first or second day. You can keep the vernix of the baby, just like wipe it off. Like the vernix is coating that is on the baby when the baby comes out. You can just wipe it off. You don't need to bathe the baby second or first day. You can wait a little bit, that's fine. There are different ways to bathe. You can also watch YouTube videos. You can ask me to come, I can help you out. There is a way to like immerse baby in the water, but also there is a way to immerse baby in the water while being swaddled, and then gently unswaddle. So there are really nice ways to it. It's usually a very enjoyable experience for both mom and the baby. Babies love warm water. Not all of them. Some of them really freak out, but most of the time it's really nice.
So we need a bucket or
bathtub. Yeah, like a little bathtub for. You will find it convenient. I remember that I didn't want to get one. I was like, why not? I'm just gonna use a big one, but you don't have a big one.
No.
Okay, so yeah, get one for the baby for sure. You can also shower with the baby, that's fine. But if you have time to shower, like shower by yourself. This is gonna be like your private time that you're gonna love a lot. So, but sometimes you can also shower with the baby. That's fine too. So that's about taking care of the baby. Yeah, again, there's like so many things that will come up during the time. And the last part that I wanted to talk about that I didn't announce is actually taking care of you. So there's been a lot about taking care of the baby, breastfeeding, but what about you, right? You're the one who are giving all this, and you need all the support or the love, all the energy. You need to be fed enough, you need to be hydrated enough, you need to be rested enough. So all those rituals that you love doing, with the massages, inviting the massagist, a masseuse, like every day if you can, just spending that time in a really good, relaxing time and recharging time. That's really important for you. About from starting from 5 days, ending with like 3 weeks, you may keep on bleeding after the birth. That's totally normal. Sometimes we have things like, they're called lochia or lochia. It's like a blood clot. They come out after the birth, and it can be as big as a thumb. And this is totally normal. If it's bigger than a thumb, this is something to call to a doctor or midwife. But otherwise, this is even a normal size of a lochia. It usually comes out like when you go pee. Yeah. Some women experience constipation after birth. In that case, having 3 prunes soaked overnight is really solving the problem. Eating a lot of fiber, a lot of vegetables, eating a lot of protein, like a healthy protein, and generally keeping your diet very rich and very nutritious. It's like number one thing for your recovery, and also for the milk supply. And get as much support as you need. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Message in the groups, ask mamas, ask your partner's parents, and it's super important to get all the support. There is no need to jump back on track with movement or doing something physical exercises. They say that 7 days in bed, 7 days around the bed. This is as much time as you should spend in your own bedroom, just enjoying that precious time with your baby and yourself. Because honestly, this time like that will never repeat again. Take advantage of being completely supported and taken care of by your family, and just like having fun and cuddling with your baby. Yeah, so that like no responsibilities would ever touch you. Yeah. So that's about you. That's about taking care of you. In 1 month, you can start maybe coming back to like light practices. If you have a habit of exercising or doing yoga or swimming, this is something that you can start doing. But otherwise, the first months, there's nothing that should be done. You can use what do you call it? Like a wrap around your belly after birth, but you just need to remember that this is not something that will squish your organs in, but this is something like to support your organs from downwards and help them to bring up. And I can help you to put it on if you have something like that. It can be even a sarong, it can be a scarf. It feels really like nice and reassuring to wear it. Also, after you give birth, your hormone system will be setting back to non-pregnant state, and things can get emotional. And the outcome depends on how much support you get from the community and from the family. And this is that I will not end to stress enough that you should get some support. You should ask for support, and let them know that that your partner know that they need to be patient with you, and explain how the hormonal system work, and to find the tools to communicate, and to ask what you need, to ask for what you need. Yeah.
And does it usually hurt after birth? Like when you go to the toilet, or just when you're in bed?
Yeah, it may hurt to sit down in the beginning. It's different for everyone. For some mamas, the second day they're already quite fine. But especially if, women had some stitches, then definitely it takes time. But even without stitches, there is some swallowing that may happen, but it usually takes 2 or 3 days, and it's fine, like in the vaginal area. But also in in your uterus will continue contracting, and you may experience still contractions like on the second day, on the third day, and especially when you start breastfeeding. By the way, in order to help your placenta to be born, you need to latch your baby, and this will stimulate the contractions, and then placenta will be born. So same thing will happen afterwards when you will be latching the baby. The uterus will be contracting, and it might bring some uncomfortable sensations, but it's not like necessarily lots of pain. And the third aspect of discomfort is you might feel pain in your muscles because you have been working with your muscles so much, and in your skeletal structure because your hips are opening widely. But also it depends on your physiology. Some mamas don't feel any pain at all, but some mamas feel that they need time to recover and they experience discomfort in their joints. So it really depends, you know. A lot of pain is very abnormal. It's not very common, but some moderate amount of pain is quite fine, because it also depends how the birth went.
Yeah.
You know, if it was like nicely stretched 8 hours, 10 hours, it's fine. If it was like 2 hours condensed, that your muscle can be in shock and they might hurt more. And if it's been like super long birth, then same thing. So it really, it really depends, but it's normal to feel pain for sure after labor. Taking care of perineum. If you had stitches, one thing to remember is to never wash with warm water because it dissolves stitches. And then just keeping like a hygiene, keeping it dry and washing often is basically the only thing that is most important to do. You can make pads with aloe vera. If you have aloe vera in the garden, you can put it in a blender and make like a jelly, and then put it on the pads, and then put them in the freezer. Okay, and then when you have some swelling postpartum, you can put some aloe on your pad. That's really nice. So yeah.